I'm David Goldblatt. I'm from South Africa, where I've lived all of my life. And I want to talk a little about a project that I've been engaged in since about 2008. It concerns what I've called ex-offenders at the scene of crime. We have a very high crime rate in South Africa. I'm not sure how it rates worldwide, but it's said to be very high indeed. And there are very few of us living in urban areas of South Africa, black people or white people, who have not been directly affected by crime and often violent. I and my wife have both been robbed by men with pistols and knives. I've been robbed several times and mugged in streets. And I felt I had to react somehow to this. And I'm not a fighter. I don't know karate. I don't know how to use a gun, rarely use it. I don't know how to use a knife. So I thought I would try to deal with this phenomenon in my life by trying to meet people who've been in trouble with the law. And what I wanted from or to do with these people was to go back to the scene of a crime that they were alleged to have committed. I wanted to do that for two reasons, because I wanted to make a portrait of them that was meaningfully related to their problem with the law. These are people who have been in trouble with the law. And I hoped, I suppose, that the moment of going back there, and often they had not been there for many years because they'd been in prison, some of them, would be perhaps a cathartic moment, a moment that was different from other moments, because it was, after all, here a place that had been life-changing for them and perhaps for a victim. So I set about trying to meet people like this, working with primarily with organizations that deal with people in prison, teaching them anger management and sometimes skills and other things. I set about meeting people who had offended. I wanted to meet people who were either on parole or who had been freed from prison. I didn't want to meet them as prisoners, because in prison in South Africa, they all wear orange overalls, and they are known by their numbers and not by their names. And I wanted to meet them as ordinary folk, as one might meet them in the street or in a supermarket. So working through these organizations, and sometimes through a contact who has contacts in the underworld, I have met ex-offenders, and I offer them a deal. I suggest that we go to I tell them that I want to go back to the scene of the crime, if there was a crime, the one that they were alleged to have committed. And there I want to do a portrait. And after the portrait, I want to speak with them. I want to record them telling me about their life. And I recognize that, firstly, it's very uncomfortable for them, in many cases, to go back to those places, to the scene of crime. And secondly, I recognize also that I'm asking of them something that's painful and difficult to do. So I pay for this. So I pay in South Africa the sum of 800 Rand. In England, I've been paying £80. And I ask them in consideration of this sum of money, I ask them to sign a release that will allow me to publish or exhibit the work, including the interview or excerpts from the interview. And I want to assure them that I'm doing this not because I want to sensationalize crime or their lives or anything of that sort, and certainly I'm not doing this because I want to make money out of them. So I have made an undertaking that I will make no money out of this work. If money comes to me from it, I give it away. I give it to organizations that deal with offenders or with people in danger of criminalization, or I use the money to assist people who have been badly damaged, perhaps in the criminal justice system or even before that. And working in this way, I have photographed a number of people in South Africa and interviewed them, and as well in England. I must explain that I don't normally work outside South Africa in regard to my personal work, but in the case of England, I was invited to come to the Black Country, that part of the Midlands known as the Black Country, by a lady by the name of Emma Getkuti, of Multi-Story, a community arts project. I wanted to extend to the Black Country the work that I've been doing in South Africa, and Emma kindly agreed to this. And probably since 2012, I've made a number of trips here to the Black Country. We found, interestingly, that there weren't enough ex-offenders in the Black Country. Certainly there were ex-offenders, but we wanted to broaden the base. We wanted to broaden the selection of people that we photographed, from being almost always working class and often blighted by the severe unemployment of this area. We wanted to extend the selection of people that we interviewed and photographed. So we've gone to various parts of England. So I make no claims for this work, but I have found that it is really of interest. And the interesting thing to me is that for some of the people, or in fact for most of the people that I've brought into this work, I think it's perhaps the first time that they have been able to tell their story without being judged. I'm not a journalist. I don't come from a newspaper or a magazine. I'm not a social activist. I'm not a reformer. I've got nothing to do with the Department of Justice. I've got nothing to do with the police. I'm just a curious guy. And so they seem to accept this, and they trust it. I've been told of 2 murders in South Africa and 1 in the United Kingdom that have never been charged. People have placed an enormous amount of trust in me. And I hope that they will feel, if they see these photographs and texts, that I've justified their trust.